Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Vertex. I'm Joshua Silver, founder and CEO of Rainforest, and I cannot tell you how incredible it is to be back in front of you for our second ever Vertex. For those of you who don't know, Rainforest is a leader in the embedded payment space. Think Stripe Connect, but purpose-built for vertical SaaS. As a company that's 100% focused on vertical software, we noticed a while ago that there was no central gathering place for vertical SaaS operators. General SaaS had SaaStr. FinTech had FinTech Meetup and Money 2020, but there was no event, no community specifically for vertical SaaS operators. And so we created it. That's Vertex. By a quick show of hands, how many people were with us last September for our first Vertex in September? Great. Well, thanks everyone who made the trip twice, once to each coast in less than 6 months. And for the 70% or so of you who are first-timers, thanks for joining us. We certainly hope you'll become regulars, not only at our premier events like this, but also in our Slack community and other regional events and virtual events that we'll be creating over the next year. When we first put together Vertex, we weren't quite sure what to expect. We knew that the vertical software community deserved something real. Low noise, high signal, no sales pitches, no fillers, just genuine, good networking, great curated content, and that's what we created. Today, we expect over 350 people to join us throughout the day. Over 140 of you are founders. More than 70 of you lead payments and embedded fintech at your respective companies. We have 16 sponsors, 20 speakers, and we've got a great day ahead for you. I'm amazed that we had to turn away almost as many people on the waiting list that we accepted. And that's by design. We wanted this room to be highly curated, and so I think what you'll find is really high caliber conversations that are genuine and meaningful to your business. 6 months ago, when we hosted our first Vertex, the world looked a little bit different. Today, there's a lot of real uncertainty in the software space. As we all know, AI is moving incredibly fast. The market is volatile, and if you have a habit of looking at the headlines, you may be wondering to yourself, is the SaaS apocalypse upon us? If you have some anxiety about all of these things, you're in good company. I think we all do. But from my vantage point, I'm really glad that we're here together as vertical software founders right now, because I think actually we are in one of the best positions to weather any potential storms that come. I think we're all going to thrive by coming together and focusing on the theme of today, which is durability. What does it take to actually build a software company that lasts, that sustains, that's resilient? I think about durability really in 3 ways. The first, proximity. The closer you are to your users, to your customers, the more deeply that you are embedded in their workflows, the harder it's going to be for you to be displaced. Vertical software doesn't just sit on top of workflows, it is the workflows. And that's the last mile that AI will have a really hard time displacing. The second way I think about durability, embedded fintech. Platforms who own financial relationships with their customers are building a fundamentally stickier, more defensible business than the ones who are treating payments as someone else's problem. And the third way we build durability is trust. All of you have built highly respected brands and trust in your specific verticals. And that doesn't allow you just to sustain and survive in an AI era. You're the one who gets to define what it looks like. And so take that to heart. Many of the companies in this room check all those 3 boxes of durability. And we've curated this group to be able to share these thoughts with each other. My 20 years in vertical SaaS tells me this: structural advantages of vertical software are real, and the next 5 years will reward in huge ways the companies that recognize them, take advantage of them, and execute against them. So you need to find your structural advantage in whatever business that you're building. Today, we have a phenomenal group of panelists. Each of them is building a category-defining company. Some are embedded in fintech, others navigating AI. All of them answering the question of what does it take to actually build a durable company that can grow during this period of uncertainty. Which brings me next to something I'm really excited to share in this room. Fintech is one of the pillars that Rainforest is most closest to. And I get asked constantly, what does good look like in embedded payments in fintech? What are good attach rates? How much should I be making? How long will it take? How do I know if my payments adoption is ahead or behind my peers? And for years, we had lots of anecdotal data. Given our experience as founders, as consultants, as operators, we had a lot of data points, well over 100 different companies that we worked with on a close basis, and so we knew kind of intuitively what good looked like. But nowhere in the world did a comprehensive data set exist that actually answered these questions with real data. So we went and we built and conducted a benchmarking study. Today, I'm excited to share a sneak peek of some of those results. We'll be releasing the full benchmarking study comprehensively in a few weeks. If you join a Slack community, you'll be amongst the first to receive it. The survey that we conducted was answered by hundreds of different vertical SaaS companies, and we asked them dozens of probing questions. Companies that range from processing their first dollar to companies that are already processing billions of dollars. We got respondents from nearly every vertical, and we truly believe this is the most comprehensive data set of any kind like this that exists. Probably the most surprising finding of the survey is that specific vertical matters a lot less than you think. And so all of these questions that everybody asked, in field services, how does my take rate compare to other field services companies? In healthcare, how does my adoption compare to other healthcare patient payment companies? It turns out that it didn't matter as much as any of us thought. However, as I'll get to, we did find some things that matter a whole lot. To start with, we looked at take rate. This is how much vertical SaaS companies are making on payments. What percentage of each transaction are they making as gross profit? And what we found as a result, consumer-facing verticals like fitness, wellness, education, childcare, sports, camps, nonprofits have the highest take rates with a median of approximately 98 basis points. So that's 0.98%, almost 1% they're making. Healthcare and field services in the middle with a median of 83 basis points, and B2B and institutional verticals like association management, professional services, and government, lower take rate at around 68 basis points as the median. And as a payments expert, in some ways, this isn't actually particularly notable, because when you normalize the difference for all 3 of those bars by accounting for pass-through fees or interchange fees from the card networks, actually everybody's making roughly the same. I think the good news that everybody in this room can take away from this is, regardless of your vertical, you can still build a thriving payments business. I get told a lot by especially business-to-business companies, We have tremendous pricing pressure. I don't think we can make any money on payments. Our survey just says that's not true. People are making money even in those verticals. As an interesting plot twist, vertical was not actually the strongest predictor of take rate. So what does matter? The thing that matters most, and if you take away only one nugget from this benchmark, it should be this, which is where your payments leader is sat amongst the organization has the biggest predictor of payments take rate. For those companies without a dedicated payments leader, perhaps you're running payments just with someone in product or engineering, or someone in sales or support, but no dedicated leader, you're making, on average, only 53 basis points. Companies with dedicated leaders, but not sitting at the highest levels of the organization, making significantly more at 83 basis points. So having someone focus on it exclusively makes an absolute massive difference. And finally, companies that have elevated this head of payments role to the C-suite or equivalent have a median take rate of 98 basis points. So, to all of our heads of payments in the room, and there's nearly 70 of you, perhaps it's time to ask for a raise and maybe a promotion. To me, this isn't really all that surprising because we see firsthand the rise of the leader, of the dedicated payments leader. And so if you are a founder and you do not have someone focused on fintech and payments in your organization, time is well past for that. You should have someone, and if you have someone that's lower in the organization, you need to elevate them because it's going to help from a cross-functional adoption perspective. I love this finding because it's immediately actionable. If you're in a particular vertical, you can't go out tomorrow and just enter a new market. However, you can hire a head of payments or elevate them. The next thing we found that's really interesting, and there's a lot of data jam-packed on this slide, so I'll summarize it for you, is that adoption rate, attachment rate, and utilization rate are fairly consistent across verticals. A good adoption rate for field services is pretty similar to a good adoption rate for fitness or local government. So what does actually influence these three key metrics? It turns out two things: payments age, how long you've been doing it, and maturity, which we had as a self-reported phase of payments growth, either emerging, scaling, or optimized. And what we found from the survey results is that optimized companies had over 2x the adoption, attach rate, and utilization of those who didn't. And so the question is, when is the best time to start your payments journey? And the answer, of course, was a long time ago. The next best answer is today. And so if you haven't yet started down your payments journey or haven't in earnest, the faster you start, the more money you'll make. At the bottom of the slide, the percentage of revenue that's from payments. Optimized companies are reporting 3.5x the percentage of revenue from payments than their peers in emerging and scaling companies. And so if you are a SaaS founder and you say, payments is not a big piece of my business, embedded fintech is not a big piece of my business today, well, it could be, and it should be. If you invest properly in good foundations, if you elevate those payment leaders, you can see an increasing number of, or increasing percentage of your revenue that's coming from payments. Another really interesting finding from the study. What does the trade-off between take rate and adoption rate look like? Basically, if you make more money, charge a higher price, are you going to be able to get as many people using it? And the answer is actually a resounding yes. Adoption and take rate are highly correlated. And so what that means is when companies invest in scaling and optimizing your payments offering, you don't have to choose between adoption and take rate. You can get both. And they actually are a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more money you make on payments, the more you can invest. The more you invest, the further down the maturity path that you get. Speaking of building a really solid foundation, part of it comes from your core software. You need to make sure that the workflows are solid and that you have a right to win. But you also need to make sure that you have a good partner that you're working with. It turns out that 92% of respondents reported having challenges with their payments provider. There's almost no other industry out there that has lower satisfaction scores than payments providers. The common challenges include limited product roadmap and innovation, which is kind of surprising given over the last number of years how many dollars have been invested in fintech companies. You'd think that everybody would be innovating, but they're not. Things like data, getting accurate reporting, table stakes of any business operation, and survey respondents said time and time again their payment providers are just not doing it. When you take a look at all of these challenges, it's really a testament to why I decided to start Rainforest just about 5 years ago. When I was advising software companies on payment strategy, I saw similar trends. Nobody was happy with the incumbents and the status quo. We built Rainforest specifically to solve for these challenges, to provide modern tech, expert support, everything that a vertical software platform needs to do with payments. Looking ahead beyond payments, and many of our sponsors are very much a part of this trend, is looking at what comes next after payments. Really, the future is bright. Not only can you make a lot of money on payments, but you also can make a lot of money on other additional fintech services. Today, less than half of companies are offering anything beyond just payments. And the ones who are typically are only offering a single flavor, whether that's capital and lending, payroll services, bill pay automation, the list goes on. I encourage you to talk to many of our sponsors and other participants here today to find out how are they making money, how are they creating stickier products, how are they increasing customer satisfaction by going beyond just payments. Another misnomer I often hear is payments is a race to the bottom. It's all about lowering price. That is the only way to win. Across our entire base of respondents, nearly everybody said they are either increasing slightly their pricing and take rates or they're remaining stable. Less than 1% of respondents said they are decreasing their pricing. Payments is making more and more money over time in the embedded space. Standalone payments is a very different story, and that's why legacy providers and banks are very nervous. All of the growth is now coming from embedding. We will publish many, many more interesting findings and the complete data set and results in the coming months, so please make sure you join the Vertex community on Slack. We will also post all of these slides, so if you got an off-angle picture before, take the one from Slack so you can have a nice posting. If you do post them on social media, please make sure to tag Rainforest. We would love to join in the conversation. I want to say a quick thank you to all of our sponsors. We could not put on this event without a phenomenal team around us, not only at Rainforest, but amongst all of our sponsors as well. And so a huge thank you to our first ever premier sponsor, PayPal. If you missed it, back in February, we launched a really phenomenal integrated offering with PayPal and Rainforest so that you can embed PayPal, Venmo, PayPal Pay Later, and PayPal Credit all seamlessly amongst card and ACH offerings. So feel free to talk to any of the Rainforest team. We're in the Vertex staff shirts today about that. I also want to thank all of our lead sponsors, including Layer, Canmon, Unit, Matrix, and Gusto Embedded. And finally, our core sponsors, Paraffin, Check, Liberis, Cana, Silicon Valley Bank, Tite, JMI Equity, Asset, DialStack, and Branch. Huge round of applause for our sponsors today. All of these sponsors make this event free for you to attend, so please spend some time with these sponsors today. Please make sure you thank them. Again, we could not do it without their phenomenal support. And certainly want to mention the presenting group for today, which is Rainforest. As I've said, Rainforest has been a leader in the embedded payment space for quite some time right now. We would love to chat with you throughout the day. Any of the staff members in those green olive shirts are members of the Rainforest team. Before we get into it, just a couple quick housekeeping items. First of all, the schedule is pinned to the Vertex Slack community. So that same link I shared before, if you go into the Vertex NYC 2026 channel, the schedule is pinned there. You can see it throughout the day. A few notes about the venue. Restrooms located at the back of this room. There's another set behind the double doors, as well as upstairs. Please take advantage of those if needed. The Vertex Loft is up the stairs and in the back far corner toward the river. That's a place if you need to step away to take a phone call, answer a quick email, meet with someone, network. The room will be open all day and has plenty of tables and chairs set up for everybody. The breakout sessions are located right near the entrance to the venue today. The last two things. We have an awesome merch stand where you can get hats, t-shirts, stickers, hoodies, all sorts of different merch. We are asking for donations in return for the merch. It is a choose-your-own amount. We ask for a minimum of $5, but we take as much as you're willing to give. All those 100% of the proceeds of that will go to an organization that we care a lot about, which is Girls Who Code, which is an organization that is helping young women and girls learn more about technology and to increase gender diversity amongst the ranks of technology. Rainforest is proud that we're going to match every single donation dollar for dollar. So please open your wallets and be generous there. It is cashless. Of course, at a payments conference. We are showcasing our tap-to-phone technology from Rainforest, and so you can just tap any credit card to that iPhone and take that payment. It takes less than a second.